Hi, this is Sarah Hoffman, and I'm going to talk about the Founders Generation in Advertising to Generations today. This is my video, and I'm not very good at this type of stuff, but that's okay. So the iGeneration is really interesting. It was really interesting to read about this. I don't have any children, and I'm a Generation X, so it's fascinating to read about this generation that's coming of age now and going to be entering the workforce. And we just need to talk about how do they currently use and consume electronic media. And reading the article in Psychology Today, they spoke about that, how much more media they consume with all of these sites and apps and how they can multitask at the same time. And just referencing this article in Psychology Today, that they will do multiple things at one time. They will order coffee. They'll Snapchat the coffee. They'll Snapchat how the coffee had the name on it spelled wrong while talking to somebody about a softball game coming up, and they'll log into Facebook at the same time, all doing this one, all the while doing all these things at one time, and they can comprehend and stay focused on what they're doing. One thing that sets them apart is that they were born in this area of social media, and so they're used to various things, being online constantly, using a computer, listening to music on their phone, playing video games on their phone, talking on their phone, texting on their phones. So they're always active socially, online with other people. It asks, how are they different from the millennial generation when it comes to electronic media? Well, the millennial generation, they use a lot of electronic media, but not to the extent that the iGeneration does. When it comes to multitasking, again, they do 4 or 5 things at the same time. But when you look at how many times a day that they'll send a text, or how many times a month that they'll send a text on average, talks about this in this article, that they send on average 3,146 text messages per month, while only making and receiving 191 phone calls during that same period. So that's receiving 10 text messages per waking non-school hours, which, if you think about it, it doesn't seem like that much. Because I see kids texting all the freaking time, and I bet they text on average more than that. I bet this is very conservative. So to them, a phone is not a phone. It's a way of life. It's everything. It's a computer. It's their outlet to social media. It's the way they drive. It's the way they shop. It's the way they eat. It's the way they wake up in the morning because they set the alarm clock with it. It's every activity that they do is driven through their phone. So how is the best way for organizations to target and address this new generation? The iGeneration is, they're moving into adulthood. Well, reading about it and then watching the PowerPoint presentation, it sounds like we're using the same, we've been bucketing out different segments the same way for a really long time when it comes to traditional media, and then going over to social media and digital media. And we need to target folks differently. We need to target based off their interests and their family values, diversity, motivation, workplace, media, money, religion, and church. Buying decisions are now influenced and perceived, these components, worldview influencers. And how do we best communicate with them? Well, we need to be online. We need to be on the apps that they're using for sure. And we need to remember that this group is not looking for new life lessons on how they should perceive the world. If you want to connect with them, you're going to have to go where they're at. And that's on some of the top apps that they use, like the Snapchat and Twitter. Not so much with Facebook. They're on there to some extent. But any other app that they may use when they're commuting, when they're eating, what do they shop for, how do they purchase the food and have it delivered, like Grubhub, Yelp, Google Maps, Waze. There's all these different these different channels that marketers need to take into consideration when putting together a marketing plan, and how they're going to be able to appeal to this younger audience and connect with them, or they won't be successful. And it's all online, and it's using these apps. I think I've covered all the aspects. Hopefully this wasn't too rough. I never do videos, and I never take selfies. Okay, thanks. This is Sarah Hoffman, by the way. Bye.